The weapon detector screamed for the third time, and Security Chief Zilax watched the threat assessment climb from extreme danger to station evacuation recommended, as Charlotte Brown walked through the checkpoint with her hands completely empty, asking if there was a coat check nearby. According to YouTube analytics, 98% of viewers are not subscribed. That's a huge number. By subscribing the channel that is completely free, "Ma'am, you need to stop moving." Guard Korvax's voice was tight, his hand hovering over the containment field controls. "Immediately." Charlotte stopped, looking confused. "Okay, is something wrong with the scanner?" Everything was wrong with the scanner, or rather, everything was horrifyingly right with it. Zilax had commanded station security for 30 cycles, had processed weapons ranging from molecular disruptors to singularity charges, and he had never, not once, seen the threat assessment system recommend station evacuation. "Ma'am," he said carefully, descending from his observation post, "I need you to confirm you're not carrying any weapons." "I'm not carrying any weapons," Charlotte said, holding up both hands. She had a courier bag slung over one shoulder, but both hands were clearly, visibly empty. "I'm just here to deliver a package to the summit coordinator. Should take like 5 minutes, then I'm out of your hair." The detector shrieked again. The threat level jumped to extinction class. Korvax's tactical team materialized from side corridors, weapons trained but not raised. Protocol for unknown threats. 6 of the station's best, all looking to Zilax for orders he didn't know how to give. "Sir," Korvax said quietly, "the Galactic Summit begins in 2 hours. 47 species leaders are already in the secure zone. If there's a weapon on station..." "I can see the timeline, guard." Zilax pulled up the detection data on his wrist display. The numbers made his secondary heart skip. "Ma'am, the scanner is detecting a Class 3 threat signature. That's the designation for planet killers." Charlotte blinked. "From me?" "From your position, yes." "Well, that's gotta be a malfunction because I'm a postal worker from Ohio." She gestured at her bag. "I've got some documents that need signatures, a couple of data chips with treaty amendments, and my lunch." "That's it." Zilax's communicator buzzed. Summit Coordinator Lirana's face appeared, her expression grave. "Chief, I'm seeing alerts." "What's the situation?" "Potential weapons breach at Checkpoint 7. "Potential?" Her eyes widened. "The threat board shows..." "I know what it shows," Zilax interrupted. "I'm assessing now." Charlotte was watching this exchange with growing impatience. "Look, I've done like 6 of these diplomatic deliveries already. I've been through security on 3 different stations. Nobody's ever had a problem before." That was somehow worse. Zilax felt a chill run down his spine. "You've been through other security checkpoints? High-level ones?" "Yeah, obviously. The diplomatic courier service doesn't exactly deliver to coffee shops." She shifted her weight to her other foot. Every alarm in the checkpoint went haywire. "Don't move!" 3 guards shouted simultaneously. Charlotte froze, hands still raised. "Okay, seriously, what is happening right now?" Zilax was staring at his display. The movement, just a simple weight shift, had caused the threat assessment to recalculate. The system was now identifying the threat source with perfect precision. Subject, Charlotte Brown species, human threat. Classification, autonomous weapon system. Recommendation, immediate containment, not something she was carrying, not something hidden in her bag or concealed on her person. "Her." "Ma'am," Zilax said slowly, "how much do you weigh?" Charlotte looked offended. "Excuse me?" "It's a security question." "Like 140 pounds, maybe 145 after lunch." She paused. "Why?" Korvax was reading the same data Zilax was seeing. His voice came out strangled. "Sir, that's 64 kilograms. The scanner is rating her as a threat equivalent to an assault mech that weighs 6 tons. "That can't be right," Charlotte said. I'm a person, a regular person who delivers mail." Zilax made a decision. "Empty the bag, everything, now, slowly." Finally, Charlotte lowered her hands and unzipped the courier bag. Can I set it down, or? Slowly, Zilax repeated. She set the bag on the examination table and began removing items. A folder of documents, a small container of data chips, a protein bar, a water bottle, her phone, a small package wrapped in diplomatic seals. Each item was immediately scanned by Korvax's team. Documents, harmless. Data chips, standard encryption, no threats. Food items, non-toxic. Liquid, water. Communication device, civilian model. Package, verified diplomatic seal. Contents match manifest, treaty copies. Every single item came back clean. The threat detector was still screaming. I don't understand, Charlotte said. What else do you want me to? The detector isn't identifying your belongings as the threat, Zilax said quietly. It's identifying you. Charlotte stared at him. Me? I'm the weapon? According to every sensor on this station, yes. She looked down at herself, then back up at him. But I'm not holding one. No, Zilax agreed. You're not. The implication hung in the air between them like a bomb waiting to detonate. I'm going to need a full biological scan, Zilax said, signaling his team. And get me weapons specialist Vexthul, now. Two guards approached with handheld scanners, moving like they were defusing a bomb. Charlotte watched them with increasing frustration. Look, I really don't have time for this. I've got 12 more deliveries today, and I'm already behind schedule. She checked her watch, a simple Earth timepiece that caused 3 guards to flinch. The treaty signatures are time-sensitive. Can we speed this up? Ma'am, please remain still while we scan, Korvax said. The scanners hummed over her body. Zilax watched the data stream across his display, each reading more impossible than the last. Skeletal density, 1.8x standard combat chassis. Muscle fiber efficiency, beyond measurement. Scale cardiovascular capacity. Error, recalibrate sensors, reflex response time, 0.08 seconds. Threat level, extreme. This has to be wrong, one of the scanning technicians muttered. These readings would indicate. Charlotte reached into her bag for her water bottle. Don't move. 6 weapons trained on her instantly. She froze with her hand in the bag. I'm thirsty. It's just water. You literally just scanned it. Remove your hands slowly, Zilax ordered. Charlotte pulled out the water bottle with exaggerated slowness, unscrewed the cap, and took a drink. Every guard in the checkpoint watched like she was drinking nitroglycerin. You know what? This is ridiculous. She recapped the bottle. I'm just a postal worker. I deliver packages. That's my entire job. What exactly do you think I'm going to do? Throw envelopes at people? Zilax's communicator buzzed again. This time it was an emergency priority channel. Chief, this is Summit Command. We're reading Security Level 9 protocols activated. Level 9 has never been used in the station's history. What is the nature of the threat? Zilax glanced at Charlotte, who was now checking her delivery manifest on her phone, completely unbothered by the armed response team surrounding her. Still assessing, he said. The diplomatic delegations are asking questions. Several are requesting immediate evacuation. Tell them we're conducting enhanced security screening. No immediate threat to summit proceedings. He hoped that was true. Weapons specialist Vexthul arrived at a run, his analysis equipment already active. He was the station's foremost expert on exotic weaponry, with 40 cycles of experience identifying threats from across the galaxy. He took one look at the scanning data and went pale. Chief, where is the weapon? You're looking at her, Zilax said. Vexthul stared at Charlotte, who waved awkwardly. Hi, I'm Charlotte. Apparently, I'm having some kind of reaction to your scanners? That's not a scanner malfunction, Vexthul said quietly, pulling up the biological analysis. The system is correctly identifying her as a biological weapon platform. Look at this. Her bone structure isn't just dense, it's organized like natural armor plating. Her muscle attachments suggest force generation capabilities that would allow her to... He stopped, recalculating. to exert approximately 800 kilograms of force with her hands alone. 800, Korvax started. That's 1 ton combined, Vexthul confirmed. Her jaw strength is rated as a penetration hazard, her immune system is flagged as a potential chemical warfare platform, and her reaction time. He looked up, expression grim. If she decided to attack, we wouldn't see her move until it was already over. Charlotte had been listening to this with growing disbelief. Okay, first of all, I am not a weapon. Second, I took like 1 self-defense class at the community center. I can barely do a push-up. And third, she shifted her weight to her other foot. Every alarm in the checkpoint went absolutely haywire. The threat assessment jumped from extreme to critical. The station's automated defense systems began spinning up. Somewhere in the depths of the facility, blast doors were sealing. "Stop moving!" Zilax roared. Charlotte stumbled, catching herself against the examination table. The table, rated to hold 2 tons, creaked under what she clearly thought was just steadying herself. "What is happening?" she said, voice rising. "I'm just standing here." Vexthul was frantically analyzing the movement data. Every time she moves, the system recalculates her threat potential based on observed kinetic capability. That last movement, just catching her balance, generated force readings consistent with a combat strike. "I barely touched the table." "You barely touched it with enough force to dent reinforced steel," Vexthul corrected, pointing to the faint impression her hand had left. Charlotte looked at the dent, then at her hand, then back at the dent. No, that was already there. I can't." "Ma'am," Zilax said carefully, "what planet are you from?" "Earth. Ohio specifically. But I don't think that—" "Earth," Vexthul repeated, already pulling up the database. His eyes widened. "Oh no." "What?" Korvax demanded. "Earth is listed as a Class 9 death world." Vexthul's voice was hollow. "Gravity, 1.3 standard. Atmospheric composition, corrosive oxygen at lethal concentrations, indigenous megafauna, extinct due to human predation. Tectonic activity, extreme. Weather systems, catastrophic. Evolutionary pressure, maximum." He looked at Charlotte with something approaching awe. She evolved to survive on a planet that actively tries to kill its inhabitants. "It's really not that bad," Charlotte protested. "We've got air conditioning now." Vexthul's analysis suite was displaying results that violated every principle of his 40 cycles of weapons expertise. He read through them twice before speaking. "She doesn't have a weapon," he said slowly. "She is the weapon." He pulled up a 3-dimensional model of Charlotte's skeletal structure, rotating it for Zilax and Korvax to see. "Look at this. Human body architecture is optimized for violence. The hands, these aren't manipulators designed for tool use primarily. They're impact weapons. The closed fist configuration creates a concentrated striking surface, backed by the entire arm structure." "I mean, yeah, humans can punch things," Charlotte said. "That's pretty normal, isn't it?" "Normal," Vexthul stared at her. "Your bite force is rated as a penetration hazard. You have exposed calcium formations in your mouth designed to tear organic matter. Your skeletal system isn't just dense, it's organized as natural. Armor plating. Your immune system doesn't just defend against pathogens, it weaponizes them. You're a walking chemical warfare platform and you don't even realize it." Charlotte held up her hands defensively. "Okay. That's a really intense way to describe having teeth and bones." "Oh, you mean like humans in general?" She laughed nervously. "Yeah, I guess we're pretty sturdy. I mean, we have to be, right? Back home we've got like bears and stuff." "Bears?" Korvax asked. "Yeah, big furry predators. They'll mess you up if you're not careful. That's why I took those self-defense classes, just in case." She shrugged. "Plus I play softball sometimes, so I'm used to physical activity." Vexthul was typing frantically into his analysis system. Self-defense classes. She's received training in personal combat. And softball. That's a projectile sport, isn't it? She's trained in ballistic trajectory calculation and impact dynamics. It's just a game, Charlotte protested. We hit a ball with a bat. Kids play it. Your young train for combat, Vexthul said flatly. We train for fun. Charlotte was getting frustrated now. Look, I also like hiking. Does that make me some kind of threat too? The analysis system immediately flagged the word hiking. Vexthul's face went even paler. Hiking, long-distance travel over varied terrain for recreation. He looked at Zilax. That's persistence predator behavior. Humans don't sprint to catch prey. They track it for hours until it collapses from exhaustion. She's describing apex predator hunting tactics as a hobby. It's exercise, Charlotte threw her hands up. I'm not hunting anything. I'm just walking in the woods. The woods, uncontrolled wilderness environments populated by the bears she mentioned. Vexthul was pulling up Earth's ecological data now, his expression growing more horrified by the second. Chief, humans didn't just survive on a death world, they conquered it. They drove megafauna to extinction through persistence hunting. They're the dominant predator on a planet where everything is trying to kill everything else. Charlotte took a deep breath, clearly trying to remain calm. Listen, I get that maybe Earth is a bit rougher than some places, but I'm not dangerous. I mean, I can fight if I absolutely have to, sure. Most humans can, but I'm just here to deliver mail. That's literally my entire purpose for being on this station. Zilax's communicator buzzed again. Summit Coordinator. Lirana's voice was sharp with barely controlled panic. Chief, I need a resolution. Now, we have 47 species leaders asking why we've activated protocols that have never been used in peacetime. Several delegations are threatening to leave. Coordinator, Now, Chief. Zilax looked at Charlotte, then at Vexthul. She's passed through other security checkpoints, multiple stations. Nobody's reported problems. Because nobody has scanners this sensitive, Vexthul countered. Or, they did detect her and didn't know what they were seeing. Chief, our protocols are explicit. No weapons at the summit. None. But she's not carrying a weapon, Korvax interjected. The protocol assumes weapons are carried, not biological. The protocol assumes weapons can be separated from the bearer, Vexthul corrected. She can't exactly remove her skeletal structure. Charlotte was watching this debate with increasing incredulity. Look, I'm just trying to do my job here. I've got signatures to collect. I'm already running late, and you guys are acting like I'm some kind of... She reached down and hoisted her courier bag back onto her shoulder in one smooth motion. Every guard flinched. Vexthul's scanner shrieked. 40 kilograms! She just lifted 40 kilograms like it was nothing. It's a mail bag, Charlotte said. It's not that heavy. It would crush my spine, Vexthul said quietly. 40 kilograms is beyond the lifting capacity of 80% of species in the galactic community. You just picked it up, casually, as an afterthought. Charlotte looked at the bag, then at the surrounding guards, then back at Zilax. Understanding was starting to dawn on her face. Oh, you guys you're actually scared of me, aren't you? Zilax met her eyes. In them, he saw genuine confusion and a dawning horror at the realization of what she represented to everyone around her. Ma'am, he said carefully, I need to understand something. When you say you took self-defense classes, what exactly did that entail? Just basic stuff. How to break grabs, where to strike if someone attacks you, how to use your body weight effectively. She paused. Why? Because, Vexthul said, his voice hollow, what you're describing as basic self-defense would be lethal to 90% of the beings attending this summit. Charlotte stood very, very still, finally understanding the scope of the problem. So what do we do now? She asked quietly. We run a capabilities assessment, Zilax decided. If we understand what we're dealing with, we can make an informed security decision. Vexthul produced a standardized grip strength tester, a cylinder designed to measure force application. Squeeze this. Gently. Charlotte took it carefully, applying what she clearly thought was minimal pressure. The cylinder crumpled like foil. That was gentle, Korvax breathed. I barely squeezed it. Charlotte stared at the destroyed tester. Your equipment must be defective. That cylinder is rated for 500 kilograms of force, Vexthul said. You just exceeded maximum pressure with what you consider a gentle grip. Charlotte set the ruined cylinder down very, very carefully. Okay, but humans are actually pretty fragile compared to Earth animals. We're not even close to the strongest things on our planet. What could possibly be stronger than you? Korvax demanded. Lots of things. Elephants can lift like 4 tons with their trunks. Gorillas are way stronger than humans. They can lift over 800 kilograms. Bears can bite through trees. And don't even get me started on what saltwater crocodiles can do. Vexthul was frantically searching Earth's biological database, his expression growing more horrified with each entry. These creatures? They're real? They exist on your planet? Currently? Well, yeah, I mean, we try to stay away from them, but they're around. Charlotte shrugged. We're actually pretty middle of the road back home. Humans survived because we're smart and we work together, not because we're the toughest thing out there. You survived, Zilax said slowly, by being smart enough to kill things stronger than you. I mean, when you put it that way, it sounds bad. Zilax looked at Vexthul, then at the destroyed grip tester, then at Charlotte, who was standing there in her postal worker uniform, genuinely distressed at the idea that she might be frightening anyone. Show me your hand, he said. Move it from your side to in front of your face. Charlotte complied, lifting her hand in what she clearly thought was a normal movement. Stop, Zilax ordered. She froze mid-motion. Vexthul, how fast was that movement? The weapons specialist checked his scanner. 0.12 seconds from initiation to halt. Chief, that's faster than most species' visual processing speed. If she'd been striking instead of just raising her hand, the target wouldn't see it coming. Charlotte lowered her hand slowly. I wasn't trying to be fast. I was just moving. And there it was, the fundamental truth that the scanning systems had been screaming about since she walked through the checkpoint. Charlotte Brown wasn't dangerous because she was trying to be. She was dangerous because she was human, because she came from a world where being this strong, this fast, this durable was simply what it took to survive. And she didn't even recognize these capabilities as exceptional because, on Earth, they were merely adequate. Ma'am, Zilax said carefully, do you know why you're here? What these documents you're delivering actually are? Treaty amendments, I think. Something about peaceful cooperation between species. The Galactic Harmony Accords, Zilax confirmed. Humanity signed them 6 months ago. Your species committed to peaceful coexistence with the galactic community. Right, yeah, we don't want any trouble. We just want to, be part of things, make friends, exchange culture and stuff. She smiled hopefully. That's why I took this job, courier for diplomatic services. I get to meet different species, help with communication. It's pretty cool, actually. Zilax made his decision. Coordinator Lirana, he said into his communicator. Security Chief Zilax, I'm clearing the courier for entry. Chief, the threat assessment is accurate but irrelevant. The human isn't carrying a weapon. She is a weapon by our standards. But she's a weapon that has chosen to deliver peace treaties instead of make war. Her entire profession is literally about delivering peaceful communications between species. There was a long pause. Explain. Humans are from a Class 9 death world. Their baseline capabilities exceed our special forces, but they signed the Harmony Accords. They joined our community not as conquerors, but as colleagues. Ms. Brown could theoretically cause significant damage, but she's choosing to do paperwork instead. Another pause. You're recommending we allow a biological weapon platform into a summit with 47 species leaders? I'm recommending we honor the treaty that humanity signed by trusting their commitment to peace. Because if we can't do that, the accords are meaningless anyway. Zilax could hear rapid consultation happening on the other end. Finally, agreed, but this requires new protocols. Immediately. Understood. I'm implementing them now. Zilax turned to Charlotte. Ms. Brown, you're cleared for entry. I apologize for the delay. Charlotte's face lit up. Really? Oh, thank God. I was starting to think I'd have to reschedule everything. However, Zilax continued, we're creating a new security classification for you and future human visitors. You're being cleared under biological capability exception, peaceful intent verified. This means we acknowledge your inherent capabilities, but we're basing your security clearance on your demonstrated intent rather than your theoretical capacity for harm. That works for me. Charlotte grabbed her courier bag, 40 kilograms, lifted like it was empty. So, where do I go? Korvax will escort you to the summit coordinator's office, and Ms. Brown, please try to move gently. I am moving gently, Charlotte said, sounding slightly offended. I know, Zilax said quietly. That's what concerns me. As Charlotte followed Korvax toward the inner station, Vexthul stood beside Zilax, both watching her go. We just allowed a walking weapon platform into a diplomatic summit, Vexthul said. No, Zilax corrected. We just honored a peace treaty by trusting that humanity means what they say. There's a difference. And if we're wrong? Zilax looked at the crushed grip tester, the dented table, the security readings that still showed extinction class threat scrolling across his display. Then the galaxy has bigger problems than summit security. The station-wide security memo went out before Charlotte had even reached the coordinator's office. Priority. Directive. Human personnel classification. Update. Effective immediately. Human personnel are not to be classified as threats despite weapon detection system responses. All scanning equipment will register humans as biological weapon platforms. This is accurate but does not indicate hostile intent. Security protocols updated. Deathworlder species require intent assessment rather than capability assessment. Clearance based on demonstrated peaceful behavior and treaty compliance. Zilax watched his staff read the bulletin, saw the confusion and concern ripple through the security teams. He added a personal note to the briefing. Humans are walking weapon systems who chose postal service. Act accordingly. By the time Charlotte reached the summit coordinator's office, 45 minutes after she'd first arrived at the checkpoint, new protocols were already being drafted for future summits. Human-compatible security measures would be a permanent addition to galactic diplomatic procedures. The fundamental lesson was simple: capability did not equal intent. Charlotte, blissfully unaware of the institutional revolution happening around her, was getting a signature on her electronic pad. "Just sign here, please," she said cheerfully to Coordinator Lirana, who held the stylus like it might explode. You really are just a courier," Lirana said quietly. "Yep, been doing this for 3 years now. Love the job." Charlotte checked the signature, confirmed the delivery in her system, and smiled. "Have a great day." She consulted her manifest as she headed back toward the exit. 11 more stops today. She was definitely going to need coffee. Behind her, in the summit chambers, 47 species leaders were receiving an emergency briefing addendum titled The Human Question. The revelation that humanity's peace was backed by death world-level biological capabilities was reshaping diplomatic calculations across the galaxy. "They could have come as conquerors," one delegate observed. "They came as postal workers," another replied. The consensus formed quickly. Never give humans a reason to stop being friendly. Earth's new classification in the galactic database reflected this: peaceful death world, do not antagonize under any circumstances. Humanity's value as peacekeepers had just increased exponentially, precisely because everyone now understood what humans were capable of but chose not to do. Charlotte was whistling as she left the station. some Earth tune that the security scanners tried and failed to analyze for threat indicators. Zilax watched her departure on his monitors, Vexthul standing beside him in the security office. "She could have killed everyone on this station," Vexthul said quietly. "She chose to deliver mail instead," Zilax replied. They stood in silence, watching Charlotte's dot move through the docking bay on the tracking screen. The philosophical implications were staggering. A species so dangerous that their civilians registered as military-grade threats, and they'd actively chosen, peace. Charlotte boarded her shuttle, settled into the pilot's seat, and pulled out her lunch. A sandwich, packed this morning before she'd left her apartment. The shuttle's security scanner, less sophisticated than the station's but still functional, immediately flagged it. Alert. Biological hazard detected. Charlotte glanced at the warning, rolled her eyes, and took a bite anyway. Turkey and Swiss on wheat bread, maybe a bit heavy on the mustard, but that's how she liked it. She pulled out her phone while chewing, typing out a message to her supervisor. "Charlotte, delivery complete. Security was a bit weird today." "Boss, they're always weird at the fancy places. You get used to it." "Charlotte, true LOL. Off to the next one." She programmed the shuttle's navigation for her next stop, a research station in the Kepler system, and finished her sandwich while the autopilot engaged. Charlotte had absolutely no idea that in the past hour she'd caused a galaxy-wide security policy revision, sparked emergency diplomatic consultations, and fundamentally altered how the galactic community viewed humanity's place in the cosmos. She was just trying to finish her route before dinner. "I love this job," she said to herself, watching the stars streak past as the shuttle jumped to FTL. "You meet such interesting people." Back on the summit station, Zilax was filing his official report. His conclusion was simple: humanity represents an unprecedented combination of capability and restraint. They are perhaps the most dangerous species in the known galaxy, and they have chosen to use that danger to protect peace rather than threaten it. Recommendation: welcome them fully into galactic society, and pray they never change their minds about being friendly. In her shuttle, Charlotte was already reviewing the delivery requirements for stop number 2, humming contentedly. Just another day at the office, just another delivery run, just another human, casually carrying the weight of galactic expectations without even knowing it, one package at a time. The weapon detector at her next stop would scream just as loudly. She'd be just as confused, and somewhere, another security chief would have to make the same choice Zilax had made: trust the human or reject the peace they offered. Charlotte hoped they had a coat check at the next station. Her arms were getting tired of carrying the bag. All 40 kilograms of it.